Hello, my name is Eric McElroy, and I am a Principal Specialist Solutions Architect at Red Hat working with Ansible. Today we're going to talk about dynamic inventory plugins for Ansible automation platform networking. This allows you to use CSV files, INEI files, or pretty much any source of truth that you have. What we're going to look at first is the new hierarchy, and that is the collections hierarchy, where you have collections, Ansible, in our case, network, plugins, inventory, and then the actual Python plugin itself. When we go over the plugin itself, you can see that it has a little bit of information, just the documentation of who created the plugin, how to use the plugin, what it's used for, things like that. What we're importing in Python, and just the other items that are needed to compose the information based on the file path that you're utilizing. In our case, we're using a host file, um, and it's actually been saved here on in our playbook so that we can get to it easily. But this could be as easy as logging into a server, retrieving that host file, and then parsing that host file so that you can get the inventory that you need, and then uploading that inventory directly into, say, Ansible controller. So from there, you'll see that we have the YAML output of the plugin. This is just telling us to use the plugin of Etsy host. It's telling us that the file path in this case is the host file. This would be a variable for if you were using a dynamic location or multiple locations where you wanted it to actually go through and loop through the different locations. And then we're just going to do compose the data center of inventory host names. From there, we have a list of hosts with the IP address, the actual host names, and a few other things that we're going to parse on. And basically, what we're going to do is we're going to actually go ahead and we're going to create the host name from the host name that it provides here. Then we're going to add a variable with the Ansible underscore host so that it can be reached if it's not DNS reachable. And then we're going to create groups based on the secondary option here, in this case, Cisco, Juniper, or Arista. And we're going to go ahead and see that in action. So let's go ahead and clear this. And let's go ahead and run that. So the way we're going to do that is with Ansible inventory. Then we're going to do hyphen inventory. We're going to use the Etsy host.yaml file, which is the actual plugin call. And then we're going to use a list on that to list out the different items. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter on that. And what that's going to do is just going to run through and give us our inventory. So as you can see here in our top level inventory with host vars, we're going to have the Ansible Cisco external with an Ansible host of 10, 25, 25, 25. Same thing with Juniper, this IP address, and same thing with Arista with this IP address. But also we're adding in children groups of Arista, Cisco, Juniper, and ungrouped, because there's always an ungroup that gets associated with these plugins. And then from there, we're going to pull in each of those different ones. And like I said, this is actually parsing from that middle statement. So if you had something like a data center that you wanted to pull based on the data center name, you could do that, or any other multiple factors that you could play into that situation. And this is just a quick and simple way seeing how the code is utilized. The code is available via inventory plugin on my GitHub of Jay McElroy, and you can go ahead and access to that and utilize it today to see how this works for you. I have included the Ansible config file that has some hard-coded values that you'll want to change, basically the collection location and some other things like the plugin location that are hard-coded to my actual environment. You can always change that around. Another thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and in the Etsy host file is you're going to change this file path that it wants to use to the variable that you either pull from, your host files or wherever you're grabbing that source of truth from. And then you're going to have it here as a variable, or you're going to have it in here as a file path that it can grab from a location such as the server's Etsy host file. In some cases, we do have customers that are using Etsy host files on jump servers to be their source of truth for their network inventories. So that is just one of the ways that we're talking about how this can be utilized and accomplished. And this is just a quick, simple way to use a plugin to get your inventory much more cleanly, much more efficiently, and much more controlled. And then also you can expand on these greatly and add as many different things as you really need or want to the system. And hopefully that this helps you just to get started on that road to creating your own inventory plugin, or to reaching out to Red Hat and asking us about creating inventory plugins for you in your unique environment. That's what we're here for and what we look into accomplishing with you. Thank you for your time today and have a great evening.